Hi Gemini, and welcome to your Soul Mana video. This is for May 16th through May 31st, and I'm going to look at things from a very spiritual perspective for you, like messages directly from Spirit to help you understand certain things you're going through, to help you overcome them, to help enlighten you or bring in some healing if that's what you need, okay? So Gemini, let's see what Spirit would like to talk about to help you guys out. All right. Ooh, written in the stars. So, Gemini, Spirit's wanting to talk about your destiny. And what I mean by destiny is this. When we incarnate through our karmic energies, our soul evolution, like everything, okay? And so as we come in, based on those factors, there are multiple destinies that we have the potential to aligning ourselves to in this lifetime, this life journey. And the promptings that you feel from your soul, the things that you're really interested in, reach for, strive for, desire, those are your destinies, okay? But nothing is handed to us. We must work towards our destiny, essentially fulfill our potential. Nothing is handed to us. And so with this coming out, Spirit's saying to you, Gemini, you have a destiny. It's right there before you. You might be fearing it, or you might have an expectation that it should be happening a certain way. And Spirit's like, no, let's expand. Let's open up. Let me show you the full potential of what this could be or what you could become. Because Gemini, that's pretty big right there. So let's pull some more cards here. Okay, your shadow's coming out. Now, with this card, Gemini, the shadow to me is a different energy than most people perceive. To me, the shadow is our fight or flight. It's our protector. It's what senses out the deception within others. Like, you know, sometimes, because when you have never experienced something, you can't understand it. It's like each one of us, we understand life through all of our experiences, and that's how we perceive. And so when you're encountering an energy, a very low vibrating negative energy that is not in your conscious mind or you've personally encountered in this life, you aren't going to see it for what it is. You might have this like weird sense, like, you know, what is that? Like, I don't know what that is. I just get this weird vibe from this person, or this weird vibe about this situation, but there's no cause for it. Like, I can't put my finger on it. That's your shadow saying, hey, Gemini, there's stuff here that you can't see that I see, and this is not where you need to be. This is not an experience for you. This is dangerous energy. This is not in alignment with you, okay? Your shadow sees things and perceives things, okay, that you don't through your light. And most people operate more from the light-based consciousness than from shadow consciousness. And therefore, you don't see the shadows because that's not who you are. But the shadow aspect of you, because everything, you know, is dual, the yin and yang, your shadow is always going to pick up on it, okay? Your shadow is always going to see it because your shadow exists there in those energies, okay? And it's not to say that's because you exist there. No, your shadow exists there. You need that shadow there so that you understand, so that you can navigate. You know, you don't know how many negative, bad situations you were directed out of because your shadow was doing its job, okay? Now, just like with other parts of us, just like with the light, if you don't have discipline within self, the shadow can take over, and then we're in this constant mode of defensive aggression, lashing out, constant need to protect self and resources. Okay, that's what happens when the shadow gets out of control. Just like if somebody gets way too spiritual, it's like they can't even be human anymore. It's like they see everything in that higher perspective, which is great, right? But then they become very unrelatable to everybody else because they're always existing here. Okay, so that's what the balance is about, the yin and yang. You are both the light and the dark. You've got to figure out where to exist in the middle, okay? And not push against shadow and not think the light is the greatest of all things. No, they are one and the same, and you need them both to navigate this life. And so with these pairings, Spirit's saying you need to accept the aspects of yourself that you see as dark, unlovable, because that's your shadow. And as much as your shadow can get you in trouble, that only happens when we're not disciplined in self, all right? And it could go either way, as I explained. So Spirit's saying to you, Gemini, that, and you guys are a Gemini, so you can probably relate to that light and dark, the two, more than anybody else, right? You guys work on both ends of that spectrum. But again, you can't try to get away from the dark, the shadow, because you feel like it gets you in trouble, it screws you up, you make bad choices. No, Spirit's saying, discipline, come to the middle. You need that shadow. That shadow protects you more than you recognize, okay? Just like the light guides you, the light grows you, the light expands you. The shadow protects, okay? And so when you guys get into a different perception about that, and the two sides of you, and realize they are both divine, because the light and the dark exist on the same spectrum, okay? The Kabbalion, I highly recommend you read that. It will go way more into detail about what I'm trying to say to you right now in this reading. It's just for you guys. I think that you think yourself less, or you get really down and hard on yourself, or think you can't achieve certain things because of the two aspects that you constantly deal with within you, okay? It's not easy to be a Gemini. And so these last 2 weeks of May, Spirit's trying to bring you to the middle ground and allow you to appreciate both sides of yourself and realize the perfection that they are. And when you have a control over it, you are unstoppable, and there's a destiny involved here, Gemini. But it's like we've got to embrace shadow self, or we've got to discipline ourselves better and not let shadow self do all the work. Because when you've gone through a really hard life, you've experienced abuse, you've been screwed over, all these things, shadow self is out more, because again, there's this sense of need of protection and self-preservation. That's the shadow's job. So it's over exaggerated in every situation when you've been really traumatized. And if that speaks to you, Spirit's saying, you know, let's get back in balance. Do some meditation, do some sleep affirmations, realize both aspects of yourself and that they are both divine. It's just for some reason there's some imbalance with the shadow aspect of self, and it's kind of getting in the way of a destiny that's meant for you, that you're working towards. So let's pull some more cards, Gemini. And I know you guys don't like me to shuffle for a long time, but I'm sorry. Spirit's like, nope, shuffle. Shuffle a bit longer. We got to get the cards perfectly aligned here. Yep, see? All right, there we go. Okay, so our first jumper is let's rethink, change. Why? Because we're in this pattern of kind of waiting. And again, it's because we're not accepting some aspect of self, or shadow self is just kind of really overextended, like kind of controlling things right now, and needs to be scaled back. Look at that happiness. tender shoulder. And follow the signs. Believe in the magic. Look at that. Gemini. So what I see now is, I think a lot of you, this shadow self, and the work that needs to be done there is because of what you've been through, okay? Really hurt, taken advantage of. You know, it could be just a bunch of situations, or it could be one situation that just really stopped you in your tracks, all right? And now you've kind of been in this holding pattern where we're not really happy, and we're not really unhappy. It's just kind of this weird space. Or some of you, it could be where you felt like you're not happy, and, you know, is that ever going to change? I don't have those type of cards coming out of being like depressed and unhappy, because they do exist in this deck. I see this more like it's time for some healing, Gemini, and it's for your happiness. Like, let's rethink. We've got to change. Well, what do we've got to change? We've got to accept our shadow, or we've got to better discipline ourselves internally and recognize when the light needs to shine and when the shadow needs to protect. And this destiny, you're in this holding pattern, Gemini, until you figure that out, okay? Because once you figure that out, there's great happiness for you coming in. There's a destiny here, okay? Whatever that is for you. The signs, you've got to follow the signs. Spirit is speaking to you, dropping you little signs and synchronicities within your reality, okay? To let you know, this is the way, this is the way. But what do we got to do? We've got a little bit of healing here. And with tender shoulder, Gemini, as much as you guys don't like it, you really need to pour your heart out here to a friend, to a counselor, maybe to a stranger on the bus. Like, ask Spirit for the moment to align it for you so that you can express, you can cry, you can get it all out of you. And I think that will be so freeing and liberating, because I don't feel that's something that you would typically do. It's like you try to work through it yourself. You're a very strong, intelligent individual, and there's not much that you can't handle and you can't take. But in this situation, Gemini, I feel it's time to have a huge emotional purge and just get it out of you. And that makes room for a lot of happiness. We get out of this holding pattern, okay? Because, again, there's a destiny here. So let's pull some more cards. Right. We have Mastery 1212. So 1212 is one of these signs. This 1212 is you have done your work. You are a master of this. It is time to move on to the next thing. Next out, however, winter, period of reflection. We have some restrictions. And also the shadow is associated with winter. So Gemini, I feel there's a big sense of self-acceptance that needs to take place. And I feel somebody made you think that you are wrong and bad and just something. And it's not true at all. Like, it's not. Everybody, it could be that you lost your temper or you get really angry, you know, things like that. But again, Gemini, it's because we've got to face what harmed us and put us in that mode of needing to always defend and protect self. Because that's the only issue. You're not a bad person. You're not wrong. You're not ugly. You're not evil. You're not any of those things whatsoever. You just are in this mode of self-protection, self-preservation. And that's only there because of what you've been through. And now Spirit's saying, it's time to change a little bit. Let's soften ourselves. Let's open up. Let's purge and release, because you have cleared this. Right now we're reflecting to heal the shadow. All right, for whatever that means for you. Next out, a season. Ask Spirit. So your sign on this, Gemini. This coming out is all about some area of your life that is coming to an end. It was only meant for a season. And so with mastery and period of reflection lined up with this, yeah, you are definitely at the end of some heavy, heavy BS. I'll tell you that. Like, I understand why you are in this mode. But you're coming to the end, like serious. It's all going to wash away. And look at that. I just got a little chime in on my computer. Okay, timing not right barriers. This here, to me, is speaking more about this waiting pattern, because this needs to be healed. Not that it's not the time. It's just Spirit saying, you stay here until you overcome that. And then after that, that's where we align to the destiny. Yes, because look at this. New path, sign Aries. So some of you, this could involve an Aries, or the beginning of the end of this could have started during Aries season. Okay, but Gemini, everything I've been telling you, 100%, like whatever got you in this mode of preservation and self-protection, you are done with that. What you needed to gain at a spiritual, mental, or emotional level, you have received. And now it's time to really let all of that root itself in your subconscious mind, okay? And also in that process, getting more comfortable with the shadow aspect of yourself, recognizing its purpose and not pushing that part of you away or letting anybody tell you that aspect of you is negative or bad, unworthy, anything like that, okay? Because there's a lot of junk that it is just time for it to fall away, and you're moving into some really good stuff. It's your destiny, Gemini. So let's pull you a advice card here to wrap this up. Beautiful reading. Like, I think 3 months from now, you're just going to be in such a different place, Gemini. You just are. Okay, so we had 2 fly out. Look at that. Love. The most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and to let it come in. Next out is heart. If anything is worth doing, do it with all of your heart. So Gemini, yeah, this shadow business has kind of disconnected you maybe from feeling like you deserve love or allowing you to receive love. It's just some things really hurt you and kind of knocked you on your butt, and it's made you hesitant to move forward or to try again. And Spirit's like, it's your destiny to do this, okay? And in order for it to work, you've got to have your entire heart and soul in it, but also you've got to be willing to open up and let love in, because I don't question that you give it out. You just have a hard time letting it in. And based on this reading, like I said earlier, you're just a very strong, able, and capable person, so you don't often seek out the upliftment, the comfort, the support in other people. And Spirit's saying, listen, over these next 2 weeks, let's try that a little bit. That's going to get us past the barrier. That's going to get us more in tune with our shadow, because through conversation and just different experiences, Spirit will speak to you, and you'll just get these different signs and synchronicities and confirmations that let you know that you're all right and you are moving on the right path. Because look, new path written in the stars for Gemini. But we've got to soften ourselves, allow love in, okay? Know that we are worthy, that we are special, that no matter what's happened in the past, it's irrelevant. We overcome it, we move forward, the past is falling away. Ask Spirit. Let's see, for signs, we have 12-12, restrictions, barriers. I think the restrictions and barriers are what you've been dealing with. And again, it has to do with that shadow work. Once we figure that out, the restriction falls away. So 12-12, highly significant, but also ask Spirit, Gemini, for a special sign, okay? anything like that Spirit would want to show you. And I just looked at the very next card and look at what it would be. Spirit 1111. Okay, so let's say 1111 and 1212 are highly significant for Gemini pertaining to this message. Also, ask Spirit for other signs because you're really being moved along to a new path that is your destiny. Okay, Gemini, so those are your messages. I'm wishing you all the best. Take care.